Ladies and gentlemen, I shall try to give you my thoughts on innovations and what has been planned to do in the Latvian local governments in this area. And of course, I would like to start with the fact that if we think about any innovations or inventions or new ideas and their transfer cannot be separated, taken each separately. We take something of the old and there is something new as well. But if we view it from the local point of view, when we implement something that are known already in the world, but if we realize them at the local level, we need new approaches and new means and ways, new techniques. I would like to say that we had now a discussion about objectives. At the Union of Local Governments, we think that there are about 20 programs in the EU in this respect, and when we try to analyze what is important for the next period, the two elements that are paid attention to, both in the national strategy and also by other people, they are the Flexi initiatives, which is like a sample of flagship initiatives. Actually, they are not so important because actually we shouldn't be oriented towards them in the local governments. We need to be oriented towards the aims that are in the EU. Not only that is for the whole territory, but also the ways, means and techniques that each can do in their own business, in their own company. And that is the focus that local governments should concentrate on. From the local point of view, we should not try to copy initiatives that have been good in Finland or Malta, but think what I can do in my own territory in order to reach the common aims for the EU. Basically, the role of the local governments is easy to explain, and there are two aspects. One, that the local government can do itself, do some innovations by itself. That's very important. We know that it's already the fourth year that the world economic crisis is still lingering. If it doesn't go back, at least it's at a standstill, and there are no improvements really. So that the local government has to think, of course, how to establish a small but effective administration, the same as for the whole of the state, how to provide better services with innovative methods. We need to diversify and invent perhaps something different in each locality. And of course, we can take over the best practice in the country, but we should not wait and look up to the center that the proposals will come down to us. We haven't received any so far. The second aspect is promotion of innovations. Although the local government has small resources, but still, usually the beginning is small, and the local government can decide how to use the state support, the government support for innovative so there's the so-called public support, the support of the government. That is planning and local regulation. That is the compliance in between how the local government gives the green light to these initiatives. The establishment of various institutions, because all the variety and the range that was discussed by Mr. Pūķis is somewhere in some territory, and so in order to establish innovation centers, that the local governments could also contribute their support and initiative. There may be also local other types of solutions. An important element that's used in the country that is used much too little is procurement, public procurement, in order to attract people who have scientific thinking. So this public procurement, this part is very important. It is not, this channel is not used really. There is not enough demand for these innovative things. It is possible, and also at the local government level. When we speak about local governments, it's important that they need to improve their work. Do they do it? Because local government and government are synonyms, because the local government is not something different. The essence of the local government is diversity. And we see, for example, one-stop agency or elements of e-governance, and these elements have developed quite fairly well in the local governments, but at the national level they're still slowing down the process. And after the administrative territorial reform, now there is a deep process, an interesting process. We should not interfere with it. That is the optimal development of administrative structures, bringing them to a minimum, changing the basic principles, stepping back from some of the principles that were there before the reform, so that we can continue our work under this very austere conditions of crisis. Of course, our people, thank God, didn't go into the streets and didn't burn cars. That is that testifies to skills of the local governments.
If we look at initiatives at external initiatives, new initiatives, and on how we look at future prospects, I'm going to speak about two initiatives from the local governments and that were discussed in the Local Government Congress. The first is to change completely the investment system in the country on the basis from the example of the EU budget. We would like to see the EU budget to be divided into three parts, and then local government should have a quota for them, and sectoral policy would be separate, and agricultural subsidies would again be separate, and local government development would be again separate. So we actually propose to implement a place-based approach where people who live in a territory would decide for themselves how they are going to promote the common goals of EU. So we actually propose regional development and innovation development to be a priority, and sectoral priority, and it should refer to the second element. But in the third box, the local government could do what they think would be effective. We have started a political process. After the local government congress in summer, we invited each local government to look in their council meeting at their attitude towards this project, and we hope at their vision of this project, and I hope that most of the Latvian local government people have expressed their attitude towards government policies, and we have seen these policies to be detrimental, and we propose decentralization, which is frequently objected against. But we think that really money should follow people, and each of the 119 local governments should be able to have and finance its own projects, so that we would have also access to EU structural funds, etc. So each territory would have a quota, and within this quota, priorities would be chosen. The list of priorities would be determined by the government and would also be included in its European structural funds implementation program. And then the local government could choose from what could be a menu, and innovation then would be a very important part of this choice. So the local government which chooses to support innovation would have an easy time supporting its projects, and that would activate people in over all territory. So it would be very good if the decision about which project should be implemented would be taken by the municipal council, and the government then could only maybe object to this project, or maybe say that the project is not justified. In that case, the money would simply not be used for this project, but still would remain for this local government to spend. And if there are local governments that cannot submit reasonable and rational and sound and well-based projects, in this case only the money would be spent on different targets. We have looked at these propositions within all the party fractions before the elections. Mostly politicians have agreed to our propositions, the proposals we have written to the candidates. We have discussed this proposal with those who have won the election, and we hope that more or less we shall be able to implement this approach in the future if we get enough support. And this would also influence very much the innovation environment in Latvia.